Welcome, everyone. We're excited to kick off an episode of The Design Board today. The Design Board is a podcast by UpSpring that focuses on design, development, and everything in between. We host innovators in our industry and explore topics that support your growth in every way. Today, we're going to dive into learning all about paid media in the AEC industry and understanding how it can be applied as both a marketing and sales tool. We have with us today Taylor Noffsinger and Maggie Austin. Taylor is a paid media strategist here at UpSpring, and Maggie is a paid media coordinator. The duo lead our paid media and digital strategy for ads. They handle our B2B and B2C clients within the architecture, design, education, and technology industries. Today, we're going to chat about paid media in the AEC industry and how that can be used as a sales and marketing tool. Before we get into the details, what is paid media or digital advertising?
Yeah, so paid media, digital advertising, it's in the name. You're just paying for it versus earning it. These are going to be the ads that you see when you Google something. It's the first top two promoted, or the ads you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, or even the annoying ads that seem to follow you around and you don't know where they came from or why they're there, and it's a little bit creepy.
What are the different platforms that should be considered for digital ads? Is there a difference between B2C and B2B ads?
Yeah, so there's a lot out there, and it's going to be different across both industries, all different kinds of sectors. So some top platforms that we always consider are Google Ads. Some people even work with Microsoft Ads, Bing Ads, and then social media platforms. So Meta, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, they all have ads available. The main differences we're looking at for B2B and B2C are they're just different audiences with different goals. B2C are often focusing on direct sales, while B2B might be focusing on leads, and even different hierarchies of leads, and that can also have a bit of a longer life cycle.
That's really helpful, Taylor. So product companies are more likely familiar with paid media. Should architecture and design and real estate firms also consider digital ads as part of their marketing or sales initiatives?
Yes, and that might be a surprising answer for a lot of architecture and design firms out there. I know it can have been seen as maybe taboo to run paid ads in the past. It may not align with the brand, but at this point, more and more architects and designers are running ads, and those people are now your competition. They are getting in front of so many people every day, and really running these paid ads is just giving your company a chance at brand awareness and a chance to display your work as you want to. You're totally in control of how your audience sees you.
That totally makes sense. I mean, I think also from my perspective, how often are you sort of looking for things up on your phone and you're sort of clicking on the first thing that comes up, right? And so just making sure you're sort of positioned. I also know, I mean, no secret, Taylor and Maggie run paid media for UpSpring, of course. So even just sort of being a client of theirs and having, sort of our UpSpring brand in their hands, I have seen, just such an ability to hyper target and be so specific about where we are and how we are perceived that it's something I might have never considered, but have, really seen incredible value in. Speaking of value, what value do paid ads bring? How can they be viewed? How is that spend even sort of assessed as being successful or not? Where's that ROI?
Yeah, so at the highest level, you're getting so much reach. It's kind of the equivalent of throwing up a billboard and you just get so many eyes on it. But like you said, you do have that sort of control. So getting more into it, you can focus on your specific goals. Are you a new brand? Are you launching a new product and you just want brand awareness? Are you trying to bring in leads? Are you trying to drive sales? Are you just trying to drive higher engagement and website traffic? You also have the ability to reach specific demographic and geographic locations. So you can deliver your messages to a very targeted audience and deliver different ad types and different content to different people in your audience.
So let's say we're convinced and it's time to run a paid ad strategy. How would an organization, whether it be a product manufacturing company, building products, B2C product, a firm, or even a prop tech or real estate company, go about developing a paid ad strategy?
Yes, so I think the first thing you want to look at before running ads is looking at your current marketing program. Are you ready to support that kind of growth? If you're bringing in leads, do you have organic social strategy? Do you have an email going out? Is your website going to be able to support leads that you're bringing in from ads? The second thing is, I think, just really looking at your target audience. Who are they? How are you going to solve their problem? What platforms are they active on? So finding where your audience is and what message you want to send them. Then strategizing based on your company goals. How much growth are you hoping to achieve? And then lastly, just what are your competitors doing? Are they doing it effectively? Are they doing it ineffectively? Where are they running ads? Where can you meet them and compete against them?
How would someone assess that competitor set, right? How do you really take the opportunity to know and understand what others in your orbit are doing so that you can develop a strategy that stays a step ahead and differentiates you?
Yeah, so there's a plethora of tools available. We use one called SEMrush. We also use what these platforms have available on them. So Facebook has a page transparency tool, which is, of course, good for consumers to understand who's advertising, but it's also good for us because we're able to go into a competitor's Facebook page, see what ads they're running. We can do that on LinkedIn as well. And then for Google search, there's a tool within Google where you can see kind of what the competition is for each individual keyword, or you could use SEMrush to see what kind of keywords your competitors are putting money towards.
No, that absolutely makes sense. Okay, so we decided we're going to run paid ads. We've gone ahead and taken a look at the competitive set. We've developed our strategy. Maggie, what are all the vital components of that effective ad? Because now we need to send something out into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely multiple different elements that feed into each other to really make an effective ad. And the first of which would be to make sure that your ad has good branding, ensuring not only are the visual elements and the overall appearance cohesive, but how, as Taylor mentioned, how can you make your brand stand out from the noise and really draw that attention? Additionally, you always want to make sure you have great copy that is in alignment with your brand's voice and really filled with specific value propositions that are catering directly to the audience that you're trying to speak to. And speaking right towards that as well, knowing the right targeting, as Taylor mentioned, what is, your audience's problem? So if you know their problems, you know how to become the solution. So really making sure that this is worked into the messaging. And additionally, always making sure you have a really solid call to action, whether it be, for instance, shop now or learn more, request a demo. Really always try to give your viewers a really clear path forwards. And then lastly, I would say that landing page experience also plays a role in an effective ad because, you're sending these viewers who click on your ads to a certain page on your website. And does this page contain what they were looking for? And does it give them more information? So really sort of the summation of all these things can make a really effective top-notch ad that will set you apart from competition.
I think you also want to think about, you can have the best branding and the best copy, but making sure the ad just looks really good. I've seen so many ads on Instagram where it's clear that the sizing wasn't right and it's cut off, or the image is so dark that you can't see the copy. You're standing out from thousands of brands running ads for the same types of services on the same platform. So really making sure that it just looks like you know what you're doing.
No, that absolutely makes sense. From the perspective of budget, right? I think any company or person hears advertising and you're like, oh no, that's really going to run deep. How do you even begin to assess what a budget might look like?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that go into establishing that budget, and I know it can be a bit overwhelming. So I think just boiling it down to a few different elements. For instance, first off, we always recommend to determine the value of a lead. How much are you willing to spend on your paid ads? And then what is the return that you want on your ad spend? So really calculating an informed target cost per lead and then piggybacking off of that, ensuring that that level of ad spend makes that an attainable goal. And also you want to think about your audience. How many people do you want to reach? Of course, if you're wanting to reach a much wider, cast a wider net, have really high reach, of course, you might have to go with a higher budget. Also, understanding the typical costs per platform. For instance, LinkedIn tends to have higher costs per click and costs associated with the platform overall, but the B2B leads on LinkedIn can be more qualified just due to the nature of the platform. So really taking that into account as well. So really just thinking about these sort of high level factors, starting with a text budget, seeing how it goes, and then deciding how and when to expand from there.
And then how do you maximize that spend? How can a company make sure, whether it be a firm or a manufacturer, et cetera, they're really maximizing that spend?
I'd say that the most important sort of aspect to make sure you're getting the most out of your paid ad spend would really be to make sure that you have a dedicated specialist, whether it be in-house or using an agency, who really has the time to go into the accounts, pour through those campaigns, and make the daily, weekly, and monthly optimizations. This is really key in making sure that you're maximizing your spend and really improving and increasing performance, because the ongoing upkeep and monitoring of these campaigns can be time consuming. Additionally, having a target cost in mind to know that you're getting a solid return on your investment. Even if your campaign goal is just brand awareness, looking at metrics such as, return on ad spend, target cost per action, cost per 1,000 impressions, and so on, really making sure to set KPI goals that are smart. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound to make sure that you're able to assess your paid ads success. And then lastly, just doing a lot of testing and finding out what works best for your company. Whether you're testing out different platforms, A/B testing different audiences or creatives. It's kind of like a puzzle, and you really want to, try out a bunch of different things until you find that missing piece. So conducting a lot of testing as well can be very beneficial.
Absolutely. As we know, search engine optimization is an important way to support organic traffic. How can paid ads and organic performance work together? Does paid even help with organic traffic?
First of all, organics insights are going to be the most important for informing paid ads. You're going to be able to see kind of where you're already ranking, where you might need some supplemented help through paid, and where the most activity is. You can also see what content resonates strongest with your users to promote that and get a better understanding of your target audience, which is therefore going to help inform the paid. I also think for social especially, the algorithms have changed so much. So maybe you have goals for organic social growth, and the best way to improve followers is going to be by boosting posts. And that doesn't mean that because you're paying for it, these are fake followers. Whereas if you use a third-party platform to buy followers, it's not going to help you at all. Whereas if you're just boosting and people are resonating with that content, they're going to follow you because they like what you have to offer.
Absolutely. And even piggybacking off of Taylor, paid ads, sometimes, we're driving traffic to websites primarily, but sometimes a user may click on that social media profile icon. If, for instance, they see an ad, say on Instagram, and you always really want to make sure that there is, a strong amount of organic content there as well for those users to consume. Because of course, if a user is directed to a social media profile where it's essentially a blank slate, that's not giving them the information that they're seeking out. So I think that's also another way that sort of paid ads and organic performance can really support and piggyback off of each other.
Getting specific. How specific can you get with the targeting? And does the specificity of the ads differ by platform type? Are you able to get a little bit more granular on certain platforms versus others?
Yeah, you can get extremely hyper-specific with your targeting parameters across all platforms, although, of course, yes, the specific targeting options do vary and differ by platform. But generally, you can target by different audience attributes, whether that be location, job title, company industry, years of experience, age, etc. You can also utilize specific audience. For instance, Google that populates in market segments. So you're able to use one of those pre-formulated audience options. You can also upload your company lists, contact lists, or retarget previous website visitors. Additionally, Google, for instance, you can utilize keyword targeting to really hone in on high intent folks who are using these search terms. So really there is a variety of targeting options, and you can get extremely specific with that.
That makes sense. I feel like sometimes I might be in a certain area and use, sort of serves hyper-local ads. So that definitely resonates. How long does it take to see results from paid ads? How long do you need to test campaigns for and run them to see, how they're doing?
And the answer is there is no straightforward answer. This is going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for every sector. It's really easy once those numbers of impressions and clicks start coming in to want those results immediately. But in reality, this is an algorithm-based thing. So first of all, the platforms need to learn who is clicking on your ads, who's interacting with it, who's filling out leads, and takes the time to learn and send your ads to more people like that. And then, of course, for B2B specifically, there's a longer life cycle for that. So someone may need to see your ad 8 to 10 times over the course of a few weeks or a few months before they finally are ready to submit a form on your website. So we recommend, a 1 to 3 month testing period before we really start to see results. But of course, there's tons of A/B testing that can be done after that to really start getting the best performance and put your money towards the successful campaigns.
What are some of the key metrics that actually measure that success?
There are a variety of key metrics that can be used to really measure your campaign success. And admittedly, sometimes there are so many numbers that it can be hard to figure out what to prioritize. So in terms of measuring delivery, a few metrics that you'll want to look at are reach. How many people have you reached with your ads? Impressions, how many times your ads have shown? Frequency, how many times your ads have shown to a user? And then in terms of metrics that measure engagement, that would be the number of clicks on your ad, the click-through rate, and the cost per click. And to measure conversions, you can look at metrics such as cost per lead, conversion rate, and cost per conversion to really measure that success. And then on the other hand, sort of the other half of the picture, of course, we're looking at all of these data and metrics from the platform, but you also want to be sure to monitor data on website traffic, whether that be using a tool such as Google Analytics or even insights from your CRM. But also, paid ads are sending traffic to the website. So what are they doing when they get there? So a few metrics you might want to look at would include number of users, bounce rate, average engagement time, pages per session, and so on.
If any of our listeners want to further their education in paid media, where should they look? Are there any classes or certifications that might help?
Yeah, there's definitely, thankfully, a lot of free resources out there. So each of the platforms offers some kind of training. Google tends to have the most robust. They have tons of e-learning courses for each platform that they have where you can take the course and then take an assessment. And then LinkedIn, of course, has a couple of guides. Meta has a range of guides. And then I think even just hearing from people who frequently do ads, there's podcasts such as this one. And then, of course, there are a ton of YouTube videos. I think there's such a lot of opportunity to learn. And then, of course, if anybody needed some additional help or just wanted to explore ads a little bit, UpSpring is always here to help. So anyone is welcome to reach out to me directly. That's Taylor Noffsinger at UpSpring PR. We frequently do competitive analyses to see where you're at, find out where you want to go, and make some ad recommendations ourselves.
Great. Any advice for someone who might want to embark on this journey? Maybe things you wish you knew when you first started delving into the complicated world of paid media.
I think the biggest thing is just pay attention to what the platforms are doing. They're always adding new features. Google actually frequently takes away features, so just making sure you're staying in the know, and then making sure that you know that results aren't always going to be immediate. And there's a lot of testing you can do to really narrow down on things. Make sure you're looking at the data and making sure that you know what to do with that data. So what are the next steps that are going to come out of impressions increasing, but clicks are decreasing? What does that tell you, and where can you take it?
Absolutely. And hard skills aside, too, something that I wish that I had told myself or heard from someone else when I was first starting out and embarking on my career in paid media is that it's okay sometimes to be frustrated, but there's always a really creative and interesting new audience to test or keywords to try out. So just really make sure to always stay creative. And as Taylor mentioned, really just always being a student. The digital landscape is continuing to evolve. So really just making sure that you have that confidence in yourself and feel free to really unleash your creativity to really start seeing these results.
Awesome. Maggie, Taylor, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really great to sort of uncover the world of paid media with you. And we're super appreciative of everything that you've shared. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.